Welcome to episode 7 of Code2Clutch. Today we're heading into the heart of motorsport, but not from the driver's seat or the pit wall. We're stepping on the front lines with someone who's helped keep the world's fastest drivers safe, from F1, MotoGP, Le Mans, Formula E, and more. Julia is a motorsport marshal with over a decade of experience and a resume that spans way more than 30 Formula One races, 6 Le Mans, and events across every corner of the globe. She's also a passionate storyteller using social media to give fans a rare and a vital look into the world of marshalling. Julia, I'm so thrilled to have you with us. Welcome to Code2Clutch.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
Of course. Let's just start at the beginning. What drew you to marshalling after watching your first Grand Prix?
My first Grand Prix was like way back. I was 12 years ago, 12 years old. I'm I was just sitting in the room watching Formula One, watching the cars, and I didn't understand a lot about it, but it was fun. It just immediately caught me. So I started watching races, and marshalling started for me like 11 years ago when I just had more free time. I work-wise and also private-wise, and I just just realized there are people who are actually helping to maintain the race, to help organizers to be everything smooth. And then I decided, okay, I'd like to try that. But first, I thought that this is a closed company. I cannot enter. Like I had no connections to motorsport at all. But I found out that it's not that difficult. So I contacted my local racetrack, which is Hungaroring in Hungary, and I learned how I can join. I made the training, the exam, and next year I was in the middle of all the happenings as a marshal.
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear. And the step by step guide, basically, it's so cool. And I know you've been a part of like everything from MotoGP to Le Mans. What's a day in the life like during a race weekend for a flag marshal? And does that experience like differ from series to series?
Our day starts very early, so we are almost of the first at the track. So we start at 7, depending on the schedule. We prepare. We have morning briefings which we attend usually, where we hear the latest news. But in advance, we have to be familiar with the sporting regulations for the series which we'll be racing that weekend. After that, we go to our post. Either we are transported by bus or we can just walk depending how far the post is. Then we prepare. We just um, adjust our stuff like flags and everything, and we make a radio check with race control. Then there is usually a safety check also. So they count all the marshals and they see whether the appropriate equipment is there, and then we are ready for the day. So this is basically how every day starts. And the big ones like Formula One and MotoGP are the slower ones for us, marshals, because there are breaks between actual real breaks between the sessions. Because at smaller races or track days, there are like 5 minutes between two sessions. So it's not even enough to visit the necessary necessary toilet and so. But we love it. So it's cool.
Yeah, and you're so passionate about it, and it sounds so intense though. You're just, you're working way more than the drivers, I would say. And it's so awesome to hear. And you're working in such a high pressure environment with safety on the line. How do you like mentally and physically prepare yourself for such races?
It's important that you are physically able to stand long hours because mostly we are standing during races. We are always standing, and to be able to run with a fire extinguisher, for example, in your hand, which is not easy, and to be able to flagging. It's also a physical activity, and mentally, you just you just have to be there all the time because accidents happen in a second, and you have to be prepared to react, to flee. For example, if a car or a bike is flying towards you, but just always be aware of your surroundings and be prepared.
Wow, yeah, that sounds so intense. And, it,
Sometimes it's intense, but mostly it's waiting. So honestly, most of our times we are just waiting something to happen so we can react.
yeah, but it's people like you who make the sport safe to watch as well. And I know you've marshaled across like so many iconic events. Is there a particular track or a race that you find the most exciting to work at, and which is the most demanding?
For me, the most exciting one is the Le Mans 24 hours. Uh, because normally at the Formula One or MotoGP or smaller events, you go there in the morning, do your shift, which is one day, usually so 10, 12, 14 hours, depending on the schedule, and then you go home and sleep. But at 24-hour races, we like Nürburgring or Spa or anywhere else, you just stay at the track. So we are there for 4 or 5 days, for even a week, if possible. If it's necessary, we are camping. So our campsite is next to the racetrack because we work in shifts at 24-hour race. So it's possible that your shift starts at 1 a.m. and you work until 4 a.m. So it's almost impossible to stay somewhere at a hotel or something because it takes too long to get to your post in time, and it's a whole different level of excitement, I think. So
Wow.
that's also the most demanding because you have to be there, and it's everything is so exciting that the race starts Saturday afternoon, the Le Mans 24 hours, and you are already so tired because you did all the days before. You are excited. You sleep in a tent, you cook your own meal, or you just buy something. So it's more demanding, but it's also rewarding because it's different.
And just experiencing that whole race weekend just sounds like a dream. And wow, that sounds really intense. And I at this point, I'm sure you enjoy it so much. And yeah, I know you have like every racing culture, I would say, is a little bit different, series to series, country to country. I know you have worked across plenty of countries and many series. Have you noticed how maybe the atmosphere or your role changes from countries or from racing series, you know?
Uh, in my opinion, every country and every race weekend is a bit different because they have their local rules and how they do things. But the main thing is that safety is on first position, and we all always follow the rules. And the rules are basically almost the same at every major event to be safe, to make racing possible. But usually we are all the same. Marshals are a big family, and we just think similarly because we are trackside all day, basically for free because we are volunteers. So this is just our hobby. We are not really paid for that. Sometimes we get our expenses are covered, but you won't be rich doing this. uh, but it's the best way, I think, for someone who is not involved in racing yet, but is looking for a way how to connect with marshalling or with racing. This is a good start, I think. And you can just evolve. You have contacts later, and then you can decide whether this life is for you or not. Because I know already I couldn't do this as a full-time job. It's just too demanding. Or the traveling part is really hard, and it gets even harder with the age, I have to admit. But as a hobby, it's the best one.
Yeah, and you sound so excited talking about it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a good way to be involved in something that you are so passionate about, but also not working full time. And yeah, I know that, you have worked so many years in the world of marshalling. From your own experience on the ground, do you think there still needs to be like some improvement to motorsport safety and even make it like safer for marshals like yourself?
In the recent years, there are many improvements, also from the racing side and also for protecting marshals and the spectators. Like more and more fences, like FIA fences are built, these huge, strong fences, which can which should be there, which are there to stop debris and the cars flying around. Uh, Also on the driver's side, since Halo is there, I think several really serious injuries are prevented through these improvements. But there is always space for development. And but mainly we have to follow rules. The rules are there for our safety also. So for example, we always have to stand behind the fence, and we are not allowed to run to the track earlier. I'm talking from car racing now. If there's an incident, like 15 years ago, you just run and took your fire extinguisher and just made the recovery. But since there were several serious incidents, we are not allowed to do that. So we have to wait until race control neutralizes the race with a safety car or yellow, full course yellow or something similar. And after that, if it's safe for us, are we allowed to enter the track and do the recovery? So that was a big change. But at motor racing, it's different. You don't wait for approval, you just run in. So if you ever watch MotoGP, you just saw the marshals. After an incident, they just run in. I mean, I say they because I'm not doing that. I'm a flag marshal always, and flag marshals don't run because I think for me, it's just personally too dangerous to run in. But others say that's the adrenaline rush they need and they love it. But we are different, and thank God we all find our ways and our spot or part in this huge event to enjoy and to be safe.
Yeah. And all the different parts of marshalling make up a proper race, and that's basically how every race weekend can function. And I know that, you have quite a following as well on social media, and you share so much like insightful content, behind the scenes content. What inspired you to bring more visibility to the world of marshalling?
I noticed back then that there are several accounts which show like incidents, accidents, racing, and cars. But when I started, there were none about marshalling. So I was among the first ones. And I just wanted to show that we are there also. We are not really visible, honestly, and that we are volunteers. Many people don't know that we are there for fun, let's say, and for our own yeah, excitement and well-being. Uh, and I decided to show how I see a race weekend, what I experience during the day, how early we start, how our day runs, and not the racing part, not the car part, because it's not allowed on one hand, because we are focused on work. We should be focusing on work and not making videos. But with these improvements lately with different cameras, which you can mount and just put somewhere and it records it, usually it's okay. But I just wanted to make it visible and maybe attract people to start marshalling, because I can remember before I started, I thought that it's not possible to join because it's so far away. It's a mystical thing. It's not. You should just contact your nearest racetrack or the ASN, and a sporting authority in your country, and it's possible. And there are so many ways. There isn't only Formula One and circuit racing. There's rally cross, go-karting. So the field is huge, and we always need people, passionate people. And that's why I started to show it from different view, what we do.
Wow, and yeah, that makes total sense. And your content, the kind of visibility it gives to people and fans of motorsport, it's so important because it's just we obviously just see it on screen, but it's so important to get to know how the world works from the inside. And I know you talked about how you got into marshalling. For anyone listening and who also wants to get involved in marshalling but doesn't know where to start, what is there any like specific piece of advice you would give them?
If you are interested, start and you will see whether it is good for you or not. Several people start and they just realize after a year that it's not their passion or not that much passion, because everyone who wants to start needs to know that it's difficult weekend. It takes so much time, and it's always on weekends when others are away partying and meeting family and friends. You get up early, you get to the racetrack, you are there all day, and Sunday evening you are so tired that I think this is the part which most people don't really realize until they start. So the passion is there, but after they just see, okay, that's taking too much effort in a good way. Like, we love it, and I do it for 10 years now, and I wouldn't change anything about it. And there are many, many people like me, thank God. So if someone is interested, just start it. Start with a track day. Start with contact your racetrack nearby, if there is one. If none, then contact your sporting authority, and they will help you. We always need people in every country. I can say that easily.
Yeah. And I really hope that advice sort of like, inspires people that, as fans who don't work in motorsport, there's always something to do and get involved with the sport itself. That's
Mhm.
such great advice. And, we're sort of coming to the end of the interview, but I just have a few like quick fire questions. Just say the
Okay.
first thing that comes to your mind, okay?
Oh, really good.
Favorite track to work at?
Favorite track, Le Mans.
Best driver you've seen up close?
Whew. I work also in the pit lane, so I've seen all the Formula One drivers in the last 10 years. So the best one, I would say still Hamilton.
Yeah. And what's your most memorable flag moment?
Ooh, as a start marshal, I had a big incident in Abu Dhabi at F2. I was a start marshal and my car stalled at start, so I had to wave my yellow flag to warn the cars. And almost all cars managed to get around, but one just hit the car, and there were debris all everywhere, and it was really loud and huge, and it was just that's the moment when I realized it's a dangerous sport we do, and we have to pay attention all the time. But memorable for sure.
Okay, night shift or day shift at Le Mans?
Night shift, night shift, definitely.
Yeah. And last question, dry race or wet race?
Wet race, much more fun.
Yeah, your answers do make total sense. And even as a spectator, it's it's definitely similar. And yeah, Julia, thank you so much for joining me and giving us like a look into the world of marshalling, which is one of the most essential and often overlooked parts of motorsport. And you and your fellow marshals are the backbone of safety, showing up with dedication, precision, and heart at every single event. And it's people like you who make the sport possible, and safe for everyone involved. I'm so like truly grateful for the work that you do and the way that you've brought visibility to that world. And it's so important for us as fans, spectators to actually see what goes on in. And I'll be watching you and cheering you on and hopefully like try to catch you on the screen as well. And yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of
And if
course.
anyone, if someone has a question, they can, or anyone can contact me directly, also on Instagram. I'm happy to help. Maybe I can give advice to a special track or to a special question. So just do
Perfect.
it.
Yeah, definitely.